pair of dessert for breakfast because we're going to end the meal with chocolate griddle cakes. And I'll make warm cinnamon peaches right before I'm ready to serve them. And then to start things off, instead of a fruit cup, I made oat roasted pears that I'll drizzle with honey and serve with a spoonful of yogurt. And the main course is a mushroom frittata served with my sweet potato home fries. Not just your everyday regular home fries. These aren't the big wedge style home fries. These are more the sort of almost hash brown style. And sweet potatoes cook faster than regular potatoes when it comes to home fries. And they get a nice little crust on them. So in a nice hot pan, and go for some olive oil. I remember getting the hang of making breakfast when I was in university. University is probably the last time where I had more time to make breakfast than any other time in my life. But I remember the first time making home fries. I put in dried basil, and I just thought that was the coolest thing ever. Who would ever think of putting basil and potatoes? And I think I've come a long way. Let's see. Back to my cinnamon. I'm working in a little bit of spices just to lighten up the sweetness, because the sweet potatoes on their own are goods, but I want to sort of bring them up and make them a little more punchy to go with the frittata. All right, I can actually smell the olive oil, so I know it's ready. All right. A dose of salt and pepper to stir. And when you're making home fries, you actually want to leave the potatoes, whether you're using sweet potatoes or regular, leave them to sit for a few minutes before you stir them, and then after you stir them, let them sit again, because that's how you're going to get the caramelization and the nice crispy brown layers. I now add a little paprika and a pinch each of cinnamon and cumin. Cumin. Those spices work so well with the sweet potato. And then the trick, at the very end, right before I'm ready to serve these, I sprinkle them with lime juice. And it completely heightens the sweetness of the sweet potato, but it makes them savory at the same time. And that will be an ideal complement to the mushroom frittata. I better start on that while these are cooking. I'll let those sit now for a bit, now that I've given them one stir. Alright, the pan for the frittata. To make a mushroom and smoked cheddar frittata. Doesn't that sound good? Of course, like an omelet, you can put any filling you like in there. Ham and Swiss cheese, caramelized onions, leftover barbecue chicken. The choice is yours. I'm going for the mushrooms and the smoked cheddar, just to kind of keep it simple, because this is a big breakfast. We've got the pears, I've got the grilled cakes for dessert, so it's a nice vegetarian option. I'm using cremini mushrooms in the frittata as opposed to regular white button mushrooms. I find they have a fuller flavor, and they don't let out nearly so much water. Sometimes you're warned, oh, don't wash mushrooms, but I find if a mushroom needs washing because it's grown in dirt, then you can wash it, but just make sure you wash it right before you use it. That way it's not soaking up a lot of water. I'll let those drain. And I'll slice them and put them in the pan. So I'm going to heat this pan on medium-high as well. I'm making one large frittata. I'll cook it all the way through, and then we'll slice it and serve it in wedges. Get a little garlic ready. As well build in some flavor. And you know, this idea of getting people together to go garage sale hunting just doesn't come out of nowhere. I remember one year traveling to Saskatoon for an Olson family reunion, I believe it was. The whole Olson clan got together, and we made a morning out of garage sale hunting. And each Olson member and their spouse got together. They had a checklist of things they had to find, and it was a contest. Things like ugliest lamp, best velvet painting, coolest toy. Oh my gosh, it was so much fun. 8 eggs. There's nothing complicated in this except not getting tons of shell in there. And all I add to the eggs is just a couple tablespoons of water. I season the mushrooms lightly. I'll season the egg mixture a little too, but not too much because I'm adding cheese. And we can always season our own when we get to the table. I can just tell by the sound that those mushrooms are drying out. And the last thing to add for that punch of color, a little chopped parsley. Turn down the heat a little bit, and now pour in the egg mixture. And just stir it just for a minute, just starting. That way I'm heating the eggs, making sure they get hot all the way through, not just hot on the bottom and then cold on top. See, they're just starting to cook. Just spiral motions all the way around. And now I'm going to let it sit for a moment while I grate the cheese. It's going to go right on top. You can serve the frittata turned upside down, but you know, this cheese is probably going to look so delicious melted. I have to decide if I'm going to serve it just in the pan like this. The 375 oven. And I'll be able to tell when the frittata is done because the eggs actually souffle up on the outside. The cheese will be all melted in the middle, and then I'll know it's cooked through. The eggs will fall a little bit, but not too much. And then all I have to do is pop it in the oven again to warm it through. The home fries are coming along too, and in fact, they'll be better reheated because they'll get that crispy outside to them. And because sweet potatoes don't take as long as potatoes to cook, these are just a few minutes away. I'm going to be out garage sale hunting before you know it. I could almost sneak out before the rest of the gang gets here.